Hey guys, it's Dylan, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I would go about scaling your business or increasing your income if you don't have any money to invest. So this is not going to be telling you to spend money on Facebook ads or anything like that. It's actually far, far simpler. And before you click off this video, it doesn't involve any lead generation system, any sales tactics, or anything like that. It's actually far, far simpler. This applies to pretty much all industries, all niches, and pretty much any online service offering. And in fact, any service offering, it expands far beyond just online businesses. It's something that's so simple that we probably overlook it. And it's something that I've really put more effort into over the last year or two. And the results and the returns that I've essentially gotten from doing this have been huge. So I'm going to go over what it is, how it has helped me, and 3 direct benefits that you can get from putting more effort into this and implementing it in your business. So without further ado, I'm going to get straight into it. And it is so simple, you'll probably hate me. It is all about the people that you are surrounding yourself with and you spend the majority of your time with. So what does it mean and how has it helped me? We've all heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And for me, I've found that to be so, so true. The types of people that you surround yourself with has such a big impact without you even realizing it on the way you think, your outlook on life, your outlook on business, and really what you believe to be possible. And it's subconscious. Nobody tells you this. If you don't really bring awareness to this, you can easily go through life without even noticing the impact that this is having on you. And the best way to illustrate it is to give 2 examples, right? Person A maybe has decided they want to start a business, online business, agency, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. But they grew up in a small town. They are still spending most of their time with the people that they maybe went to school with, and that they've just kind of always been friends with because they grew up in that same place. They are probably more likely to be, going out on the weekends, spending time doing things that don't really help the person move that business forward, just because it's not a priority for them. And if the majority, the bulk of the group of the people that you spend your time with don't have those same ambitions, which by the way, there's absolutely nothing wrong with, it's really hard to kind of say no to everything, to focus on yourself, and to just kind of internalize everything and work on your business. You are going to be dealing with challenges and problems if you're trying to get a business off the ground that your friends probably won't be able to relate to, they won't be able to help you with. And so you're kind of putting all of this extra weight on your own shoulders. Now, in comparison, let's take a look at person B. Person B may have the exact same ambitions in terms of business, success, all the same, right? But they actively seek out a more like-minded group of individuals to surround themselves with. All of a sudden, person B is going to be spending time doing things with their friends, their support group, whatever, that actively contribute towards growth. Whether that is going to the gym, going for a dinner and talking about business, it doesn't really matter. But by default, by surrounding yourself with like-minded people, it's just natural, right, that you're going to be talking about any challenges you might have in the business. You are going to be learning from one another, learning from each other's mistakes. And so you've almost got, like, if it's 5 people, 4 other people's minds working with you and feeding back and inputting and giving you actually valuable, helpful information based on their experiences. Person A doesn't have that, person B does. And so suddenly the difference between the 2 people just starts to become more and more obvious, right? And it's actually stems just from the people that they're spending their time with. So hopefully that makes it clear. This is all just based on my own experience, by the way, but I thought it'd be helpful to talk about 3 key things that I noticed kind of leveling up the people that I was spending my time with helped when it came to me, my growth, my development, and my business. So the first is breaking limiting beliefs. Now, we're all born with limiting beliefs. They often come from childhood or the people that you kind of trust around you telling that something can or can't be done, or it's just that way because that's the way it is. Limiting beliefs can have such a big impact on your growth. And it's so important. I can't stress how important actually it is to break them and to overcome them. And by leveling up the people that you're spending time with, from my own experience, I can tell you that it has the ability to completely shatter your limiting beliefs. You could be in a room thinking you're doing pretty well, right, making 5K a month online with your online business, and then you meet somebody who's doing 10K, 15K, 20K, 30, 50, 100K a month. Suddenly you realize that the 5K a month you were doing, which, at the time was crazy, is actually not so crazy. And there's other levels to this game that you can continue to try and unlock if that's what you want to do. Obviously, you don't have to. But that's just one example. Another example is when you actually hear from people in person telling you they are doing something that you didn't think was possible. I don't know, let's say you want to make 5 to 10K a month, right? And you want to only work 4 hours a day. Now, society tells us that's not normally possible, right? It shouldn't be possible. But if you go and meet someone and you sit next to them and you have a dinner or a conversation with them and they are doing that, suddenly your mindset switches and it is possible. And what happens, or at least what happened for me, was I would come away from these events, meeting these people, thinking that I can actually achieve the things that I want to achieve, and that what I thought was previously impossible is possible. And I just think it's had such a big impact on my life. I think limiting beliefs are constant, right, throughout your life, and you almost have to shatter them and break them as you go to achieve that next level, because otherwise you don't feel worthy of what it is that you want. And so for me, like I said, meeting people that have broken those has been a massive benefit, and that purely just comes from spending time with the right people, being in the right rooms. Now, the second area that up-leveling my life and my friendship group, my circle, my network helped with was with increasing or improving hygiene standards, my hygiene standards. Now, Charlie Morgan is somebody who talks about this quite a lot in some of his content. Hygiene standards are almost like our baseline. They are the worst possible, the lowest possible kind of standard or thing, whichever metric it is that you're tracking, that you're willing to accept before it gets to a point where you are like, this is not okay, I'm not going to accept that, I'm going to do something to change it. Hygiene standards are, like I said, our baseline. And so, if you want to grow, you need to increase that baseline step by step along the way, right? So let's take an example, someone who wants to make 5K a month online. Maybe they've kind of picked this 5K number because they've got 3K a month or 2K a month of like expenses which they need to cover, and then the rest is kind of like nice to have, right? The hygiene standard in this case would be that 2K a month. Now, whether that's rent or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But that is basically the level where if you drop below it, you're in trouble. So you're going to do everything you can subconsciously and consciously to stay above that. Now, on the other side, a company with 100 people on the payroll is probably going to need to be doing millions a month just to cover their expenses and pay their staff. It's different hygiene standard, but it's the same principle. And so to increase your revenue, you need to increase these hygiene standards and these bars really that you set for yourself. And so by being in a room with people who are doing more than you, who are a level above you, it forces you to almost look up to them, see what their kind of baseline is and put that in for you. And you make a commitment to say, okay, I'm not going to drop below that. That is my new standard. And when you do that, you get to the next level. And that is kind of what Charlie Morgan talks about in one of his videos. I watched it a couple of months ago, and it was super insightful for me. And I think a lot of my experience with this has, again, come from leveling up the people that I'm with, I'm spending time with, that I'm exposed to, because it just constantly helps to increase these steps up the ladder of growth. So the final of the three benefits that come to mind when I think about what a high-level group of friends brings me is synergies. Synergies are basically benefits you get when the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. I think that's the right saying. So for example, when you can combine your skill set with another business owner's skill set, and you can come together and benefit one another. Or maybe you've got clients that you can refer to a friend of yours who offers a service that they want. You could maybe get a commission, or you can just get kind of goodwill with your friend, right? If you have valuable people around you that also have businesses that are on a similar journey to you, the chances of these kind of synergies, whether it's client skills, whatever, network, are much, much higher because they are also important to that individual, right? That individual is going to have clients. However, compare that to just a random group of people from your hometown. Chances are they're not going to really know anyone or know anything that's going to be able to benefit you or be of use to you. And likewise, probably the work that you're doing, the clients that you've got, the network that you're building, the skills that you're developing is probably going to be completely useless to them. I get all the time referred to projects and opportunities simply because I know somebody that either knows the end client or is maybe working with the end client. Quite often I work with and partner with kind of branding agencies. So maybe a agency has just rebranded and done a new logo for a client of theirs. They want somebody to do the website. They know me, they trust me. They would refer that project straight to me. And that warm introduction is so valuable that 9 times out of 10 you would win that business because it hasn't gone out to like the market of other web designers and developers in this particular example. At the same time, if I've got a client that's looking for a service that maybe I don't offer or I'm not a specialist in, but I know somebody that does offer that I trust, I can refer my client to them. Like I said earlier in the video, maybe I get a commission and get some kind of financial compensation from that, or maybe I just get goodwill and it kind of goes both ways. But yeah, if you don't have a network of people that are doing that kind of thing, you've got no chance of being exposed to these opportunities. And that is the third reason why I think having a high level network and surrounding yourself with entrepreneurs, business owners is so important. So I just want to finish this video by talking a little bit about, how you can actually go about acquiring and developing a good network, a good circle of people around you. Because we've talked about what it is, how it can impact you and the types of benefits you can receive, if you do have a good network around you. How can you actually go about acquiring one? So I think there's a few key things to talk about here. The first is that you've got to expect to work your way up the ladder. If you're at, let's say, level 1, level 10 business owners are not going to want to network with you because you have nothing to offer them, right? If I was to try and network with a billionaire, I have nothing that I can bring them of value, most likely at least, and they are going to be wanting to spend their time with other billionaires that have similar problems and challenges to what they do. So keep that in mind. Now, there's different ways that you can go about actually developing your network. Obviously, you can look to go to kind of networking events in person. My own experience with these is that they're a bit hit or miss depending on the quality of the event. There's a lot of events that just get put on for the sake of putting on an event. You get a load of people turning up to them that, they're not really that interested, but they're just kind of going to an event because they get a free breakfast or whatever. But they can work. That's one option. Online, you've got so many options, and these are free, obviously. You can join Facebook groups, communities of other people that are doing a similar thing to what you're doing. So whether it's a service that you're selling online, it could be, people that are passionate about a certain thing. It doesn't really matter what. It could be, anything. By being in communities where people are helping each other out, you're instantly getting some exposure to a group that at least have like-minded interests, similar kind of goals, ambitions, problems, and challenges. There are also obviously paid opportunities and options here as well. So I know the title said this is how to do it for free, and there are definitely a lot of ways that you can go about doing it for free. So like I said, Facebook groups, networking events in your local area, even just moving the city that you live in, right? Technically, I guess that's not free, but if you move to a big city, chances are the people there have also moved there because they've got bigger dreams in their life than just staying in the hometown that they grew up in. It's sometimes difficult to justify the ROI or the return of, a paid members club, for example, because, it might take a while for you to actually see the benefits of it, or you might not get any work referred to you. But if you try and think about it from a more holistic point of view, you're getting all of those subconscious things that I talked about at the start, limiting beliefs broken, increasing your hygiene standards. All of this is kind of going on in the background. It's not necessarily something you can put down on paper and say, okay, I got a return from it. But in the real world, it is a return. It is going to help you massively. And then I guess the other kind of option that comes to mind is obviously kind of paid courses and communities. So for a lot of industries, I know in web design, for example, there's tons of them. Same for kind of graphic design, marketing, all these sorts of things. There are lots of opportunities to join paid courses and paid communities. Anybody who's joining a paid course or community is serious about what they do and they want to get better, right? That's why they've joined in the first place, and they've parted with their hard-earned money to even be there. So from my experience, that has been one of the best ways to actually meet people. Masterminds, if you're able to attend those, is basically where 15 people get in a room that are all in a similar industry, and you just talk about problems, challenges, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve within your business and your life. So yeah, there's a couple options there. If you do have any more specific questions, or you're in an industry where you're struggling, feel free to drop me a DM. I am happy to try and help give a bit of advice. I'll put my socials in the description below. Hopefully that helps give an insight into what this is, why it's important, how it can help, and then also how you can potentially go about implementing this in your life and in your business. Hopefully I've convinced you. Like I said, it's something that I've done over the last year or two much more consciously. And whilst it's maybe difficult to quantify some of those results on paper with numbers, looking back, I can see the transformation that just doing this has had. So I'd implore you to firstly take a look at the people you are spending most of your time with and have a good long think about whether the people that you've got around you at the moment are supporting you, are actually helping you and benefiting you, or if they're dragging you down. If they are dragging you down, my personal experience and suggestion would be to kind of slowly spend more time with other new people. You don't need to cut people out. I'm not saying to do that. But yeah, I think just make more conscious effort to think about who you're spending your time with. And then if you do decide that the people that are around you aren't maybe serving you as well as they could be, go out there, explore your options, and just try and meet new people. Bear in mind what I said about that kind of level 1 to level 10 thing. Try and look for people that are maybe 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. That's kind of the sweet spot where you may still have similar challenges to what they have. They can still relate to where you're at, but you're the smallest person in the room and you've still got something that you can learn from them. So I hope this helps. I'm absolutely boiling, so I'm going to go jump in the pool now.